Hey everybody, John Gibson. I'm really excited to have these three talented individuals with me. To my right, Tommy Atkins, Jim Young, Robin Butner. I'll start with a simple question. Tommy, how long have you been here?
2.25 years.
2.25. Jim, how about you?
Going on 5 years in May 26th.
Awesome. Robin, how about you?
A little over 2 years.
Okay, great. Look, we're going to talk about a couple things today, right? Like, I think the first thing I want to start with, and, Tommy, I'll throw it to you first. As you're, kind of working with our business partners and working with your AEs, what are you hearing from a standpoint of like, what are the challenges, like what's happening in the market that our business partners are facing today?
I would probably say the biggest thing is that the financial DNA of many borrowers has changed drastically. And so being in the non-QM market, you have to constantly be on the research and study to help widen your credit box, to address more opportunities for loans. And then I think the other thing is it's new, but it's coming. And that's just the onslaught of the AI and what that's going to mean to our industry.
For sure. And embracing it at some point, right? Jim, how about you? Any thoughts around it?
Again, same thing as Tommy stated. The market's shrinking because of affordability issues and, the inventory issues, and non-QM gives them the opportunity to build their product mix. And we as non-QM lenders have the ability to offer that.
Sure. Robin?
I would concur with Jim says. Brokers used to have the, they used to be able to say, I only want to do conventional. I only want to do government. Non-QM takes too much time. The amount of time they spend on non-QM, they might have been able to do 5 conventional loans, right? That's not the case anymore, right? We've streamlined the process so much now, doing the bank statement income for them, et cetera, to make it easier for them to be able to have all the tools available in their tool belt to be able to meet any borrower's needs, right?
Yeah.
Everybody wants that 740 credit score, W-2 borrower, but that's not our market,
So thoughts on this, right? Because I agree with you guys wholeheartedly, right? I think the market's as challenging as it was last year, right? I think there was expectations coming into this year that we'd see a little relief, right? Like, I think that magic number is like 5.5, 5 5/8, somewhere in that realm. It starts unlocking some of that trapped equity for cash out refis and things like that. Clearly, we're not going to see that this year, more than likely, right? Unless some type of event happens that's not on the radar screen. So I'd love to get your guys' impression upon and expand on something you talked about a second ago, right? And I've seen it in my travels where I'll talk to LOs when we go out and visit, and I'll ask them about non-QM. Have you done a bank statement loan? Have you done a DSCR loan? Have you looked at that? And I'm amazed at how many people haven't, while many more have morphed to it and are embracing it, I'm still amazed at how many people aren't. Right. So like, what's your if you were talking to somebody today and you walked in and they'd never done something, like what would a non-QM loan, what would be your talking point as to why they should embrace it? What would you say, Robin? Go ahead.
I always go, they said, I don't have any non-QM loans. I don't do non-QM.
Right.
I go, oh, how many self-employed borrowers do you have that didn't qualify on their tax returns?
Right.
Oh, well, that happens all the time. And I go, yeah, they got plenty of cash. They've got the FICO, but they don't have the income on their tax returns. Yeah. And I go, well, what's your alternative to that?
Sure.
And then he goes, oh, well, we turn it down. And I go, there's your non-QM loan.
Yeah, for sure.
I said, because we can do just based on a 1099. We can do it, just.
And I would say that at the beginning of this industry, maybe say 10 years now, in its newest form, the agency market just has not been able, by the way they're designed, to keep up with the credit needs of borrowers. Mm-hmm. And so as a result, where it was probably 5 or 10% of somebody's business they were missing out on, when you can sit down and show them, tell me how many loan applications you've taken, how many got approved, why were they declined, and do you realize that these 4 loans out of 10 could have been done as a non-QM loan?
Right.
That's where the rubber meets the road.
Right.
And John, it's the unknown. They're afraid of it. They're fearful of the product, so it's our jobs to help them be comfortable with having another opportunity to help a borrower that, as Robin stated, they may not even realize that they have it until you offer them the product offerings that give them that chance.
Well, I think it goes, to me, it's like you need to embrace it, right? Like the industry is ever evolving, it's ever changing. There's more and more product being launched on a what almost feels like a weekly, monthly basis now, right? So to your point, Tommy, it's not just the vanilla agency, Fannie, Freddie, Ginnie, FHA type of transaction. There's a wide variety of products out there. And I think it's more important than ever. Like I always think it's been important. I don't know, I'd ask you guys. I think it's more important than ever as an AE with a diminished, pool of individuals that you could potentially talk to from a mortgage perspective to understand all the products that are available. So when you run into somebody, you can talk to them, right? Am I off base? What do you think?
No, again, there's subject matter experts out there, and they're the trusted advisors. So they got to be able to help them out with whatever their origination opportunities are with each borrower.
Sure.
They got to learn. They got to build their knowledge of the business to be more helpful, to their client base.
And I think the other thing that Jim said, which is so key, and it's our job, and it's what we try to take a lot of pride in and try every day to make it easier. But I call it building the bridge from what they're used to, which is the agency, underwriting engine, everything spits back out to a more manual process. They don't know what they don't know. And how can we help them, get approved?
Right.
Once they get approved, then it's literally up to us in sales to show them how you end up submitting a loan. It's not painful. Who's there to help you? What departments we have, and all the tools that we provide. And if they try us, and I think most of them will say once they try us today versus say 5 years ago, it's a lot more streamlined.
I think it's a fear of the unknown. I love that idea of like bridging to the future, right? Like I think it's a fear of unknown. I'm afraid of what I don't know, right? So I've never looked at it. I've never paid attention to it. So I'm not even going to talk about it, right? Let's pivot for a second. We're talking about some of the challenges that you guys see when you're working with your AEs and working with our business partners. What are, like, if I were to go down the line, I'll start with you, Robin, opportunities for our business partners in this marketplace? Like, what do you see as something that's like an avenue for them to be optimistic about or have an opportunity to grow their book of business?
Just what you just said, right? There are new products, new opportunities, new ways of doing business coming to light constantly. Somebody's always trying to think of a new way. It used to be you're using assets for income, things like that.
Sure.
Right? We can I don't have to go to my bank for a line of credit. My broker can do that too. We're constantly coming up with ways to, help them capture more business.
And
right?
I think a perfect example is the home EQ, the home equity, right?
There you go.
Nobody right now in the interest rate environment we're in are going to end up wanting to get rid of that low if they have
a 3% mortgage, right?
Right.
So you provide an opportunity. I think the other exciting things, which are to come at companies like ours, and for those loan officers and brokers and correspondents, is residential transition loans and the whole gamut of bridge loans, fix and flips. Why not be able to say you can be a one-stop shop with us?
That's right.
Where you don't have to go outside.
That's right.
For a specific type loan. You come to us.
Yeah.
So.
What do you think, Jim?
And once again, back to misperceptions. People view non-QM as a more difficult product, more time-consuming product. It really isn't.
Yeah.
I mean, to be honest with you, when you're helping that borrower out, that gives you another referral opportunity. And quite frankly, it's just as easy to do as a QM loan because at this point the parameters are, once you learn it and once we get them past the unknown, it gives them the chance to have another opportunity to sell something that they weren't comfortable with before.
Well, and you guys tell me, because you're on the front lines way more than I am, but I see the opportunity too is even to that, you mentioned referrals, right? That book of business. So if you're a business partner, you're an LO and you're educated yourself and you're the knowledge on like bank statements, DSR, the non-QM products is out there. What a great way to walk into, like, I'll just say a real estate agent, right? A referral source, and show them how they can, to their book of business. Not only can you sell more homes, you'll get people qualified, you'll sell more homes. Like, has anybody talked to you about this, right? Because they have a whole network of people they're calling on too. Right. So I think there's those opportunities that are far reaching as well to understand the space. But then how do you set yourself apart from your competition? I'm not the guy walking through begging for a loan. I'm the person walking through trying to show you, like, by paying attention to these type of products, because Mr. and Mrs. Realtor, it expands your network of potential buyers or brings a bigger network to the listing, to the people that you're representing to sell the home. So let's pivot again, different topic. So we talked a little bit about some of the challenges I think you're seeing. We're talking a little bit about some of the opportunities that we think might be out there. Like for a business partner dealing with ARC, you've been here a variety, anywhere from basically 2.5 years going on to, what'd you say you were? Like five years.
26.
What are some of the things that I think from your perspective, if you're a business partner, the advantage of doing business with ARC, what are some of the things we bring to the table?
Well, what I always promote to my clientele is, again, we can be a one-stop shop for you for all your product needs. We got a very robust product line, competitive pricing, and consistent service that they can rely on. So again, it gives you the chance to feel comfortable with almost any borrower that comes into your presence. that you have a lender that could offer you a solution for that particular borrower.
Yeah, agree. And on top of that, there are so many conduits out there, and they're just grabbing loans and then trying to sell them. You go through a COVID or a downturn in the market, and they got to pull back. Well, having a parent like Angela Gordon and being able to have funds to deliver into, not only are we well capitalized, but they love the credit financing business. So they invest in it. And so we're in it for the long haul, which from the standpoint of your broker customers, we're allowed to be able to help them build their business for the future, not just for some period of time with the market in our favor.
Sure. What about you, Rob? What do you think?
I would agree with Tommy that, the safety and soundness of the parent company is something that brokers need to pay more attention to. I've been with companies that have shut down suddenly, and all of a sudden your partner is gone, so now you got to start over again. So you should know who you're dealing with, right? The level of the knowledge of the people in this company is, there's no one here that's green and doesn't know the business inside and out, right?
Right.
And also, I think the fact that we're licensed in all 50 states, that's tremendous. So, not only do you have a small broker that you're like, oh, yeah, we're licensed in your state. But if you've got a large broker that really wants to roll out non-QM that's licensed in 26 states or in the Northeast, and they need New York, they need Massachusetts, states like that, we're there and we're doing it well.
Well,
so I think that's critical.
And look, that's a bigger deal than I think people realize, especially when you're looking at somebody for a partner. I think the liquidity, the capital position, the expansive product line, I think the ability to be in all states, like those are all things you start stacking them on top of each other. And it's a value proposition that's a good one in the market.
John, and too, the last thing, we wake up every morning, we're 100% committed to TPO, to our brokers and non-delegated correspondents and delegated correspondents. That's all we have on our mind. We don't have a huge retail chain that we compete with. The other thing is we do offer all those channels. So as you grow and have other needs, you may decide that, our board doesn't want to take the credit risk. Well, we have a non-delegated program for you. So there's a lot of different options that we offer customers, not just as they are today, but as they grow. Well,
it's funny because I was going to say, like, one of the last questions I was going to ask you guys is to talk a little bit about and expand on what you just said, which was, one of the, I think, unique things for us is, as a partner of ours, you may come in as a broker, but as you evolve, we evolve with you. And the good news is you don't lose your contact. You don't lose your AE. You don't lose the support that you've had because you were a broker that moved to non-del, and then when you went to delegated, all of a sudden you got pushed off to a different department or a correspondent engine, right? Like the relationship stays with the person that you've cultivated it with at ARC all throughout your journey. And I don't know, you tell me. I think that's a powerful tool.
It's a unique proposition.
Right.
It really is. Not all companies offer that opportunity or don't bifurcate between the two, or they're separated from each other. So
for sure.
It's a nice opportunity, as Tommy said, for them to grow. If they want to go from a broker to a banker to a lender, ultimately, we offer that opportunity for them. So
look, I'll kind of end with one last question for you, and it's kind of broad based, but I'd love to get your opinion in talking to our partners. What would be one thing that you would leave them with or challenge them with or ask them to think about as they're moving forward in 2025 in, whether it's their book of business, dealing with ARC, whatever the case may be? What are some of the things that you're optimistic about moving forward? Robin, I'll start with you.
Okay. I'm optimistic about the future. I'm always optimistic about the future, right? I think it's very important to solidify your partners now. Maybe you're not doing the volume that you had been doing or need to do to make sure you have that relationship.
Sure.
So that, once, maybe the rates do drop into the low fives and we get a refi boom again, you're not all of a sudden scrambling to find somebody that's going to make a commitment to you in that relationship. So I think that's very important.
Sure. Jim.
And we look forward to, helping you build the business into the future. I mean, it's excitement. There's opportunity out there, and we're here to support you with that. I mean, I know we always, preach, we want to make the client feel like they're an extension of us, and we're one and the same. And we're here to support them with that process to make them successful and be optimistic about the future, regardless of where the interest rate environment is, because we offer them, all the product lines to compete in all marketplaces, or market times.
Sure. Tommy.
I would just end by saying first, thanks to our partners who do use us today and sell to us. And we have a major commitment that we are working hard to reach out to many, many more lenders. And I always say this, try us, right? I mean, I can handle 1 or 2 loans all the way through the system, hand carry them, kid glove. You got nothing to lose. And once you try, so once we go back and then, review the whole process, then we can determine whether we have a good match or not. But you'll never know until we try. So we're going to just continue to reach out to as many people as we can and hope that their lending strategies and our lending strategies match up as best as possible.
Well, look, I appreciate you 3 joining me today. I was excited to have you. And look, I'll leave you with a couple words, a couple of thoughts, right? Number one, I think these guys did a great job, especially in the summary. We're in growth mode, right? Like we are adding product. You mentioned RTL, you mentioned fix and flip, you mentioned bridge loans, you mentioned commercial, like home equity, right? We really are evolving into what I consider to be what you guys call a one-stop shop, right? We are, as you kind of mentioned, we are onboarding clients every single month, right? More and more people are coming to ARC, raising their hand saying, let's get approved. And we're going to continue to grow that to be a support for you as our business partners on the broker and correspondent side moving forward. And look, I'll leave you lastly with this, right? Like I said it on a video we did the other day. I'll say it again. I'll always say it. Appreciate you. We thank you for your partnership. We know you have choices, right? And it's our job to live up to your expectations. We're going to continue to do that as we evolve at ARC. So thanks for joining us today.
Thank you.
Thank you.